And today we're going to do something a little different. Let me give you a scenario, just a scenario. You've been out flying into the beautiful South Australian countryside, you're coming back to the Adelaide Hills, you're going to descend into Adelaide International Airport, YPAD, and the weather's beautiful like it is now. But what do you do if you come back and the weather is not? And you don't have a GPS, and you don't have an artificial horizon, and you're flying something a lot simpler, like the Jabiru 160 or 70 or 230, that's just set with basic VFR instruments. What are you going to do? Think on that for a minute. Welcome to Let's Fly VFR, Visual Flight Rules. Hi, I'm Gunny. Get your maps and your coffee together and let's go flying. I've obviously just changed the weather for you. What if you got back and it was getting late, your fuel was getting low, and you didn't have many options? Well, this is where some information I've just got. I found this really interesting. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pause the sim for a moment. I hope you don't mind. So we'll do that. Because where we are, we're probably about 15 or so nautical miles basically east of YPAD. Nearly lined up. But I got the Pilot Operating Handbook, the POH. And I really recommend you guys, if you are treating whatever sim you like, whether it's X-Plane 11 or P3D version 3, 4, or the new Dovetail release of FSX, or what do they call it now? I'm sorry, I've got the name. Grab it and have a read. This really opened my eyes up. Now, the emergency procedures for someone in the situation that I just mentioned. Okay, again, we're VFR pilots, we're not IFR trained, and people die every year because they get themselves into this situation and are not prepared for it. So I thought this would be really just a short video, and it's all about just surviving the cloud and what you do in that. And what I found really interesting, so this is pretty much straight out of the manual. Step 1, make the engine full rich. So we'd make the engine full rich. Start a 500 to 600 foot descent rate at around about 70 or 80 knots. So you trim to 70 or 80 knots first, and then you can once you're stabilized, is how I would see it, you would then just reduce the power a little until you start a gentle descent rate. 100 RPM is normally 100 foot per minute descent rate, approximately. That's how I've heard it mentioned on many occasions. But this is the big one. This is what got me. Hands off the control wheel or joystick. So you get your hands off it. Okay? Don't laugh. I know what you're thinking. But get your hands off the control wheel. How are we going to control your direction? Rudder only. Just rudder. So little movement. So you're looking at your turn coordinator, keeping that level. You're looking at your heading bug to make sure that's straight, and you're not looking outside. You're just looking at that. And any little deviation you get, it's going to be a little left or a little right on the rudder to keep yourself stabilized. Now, I know we have in this situation, because you would be able to get it. You'd be able to call YPAD and tell them your situation. You would also probably score 7700, because that's something of emergency for you. And you might give a call on 1 to 1.5 if you deem that necessary as an emergency call. But you would certainly talk to someone and let them know that you're having a few problems. So they would be able to come and help you if you really needed it. So what we're going to do next, I'm going to try this. I have not practiced it. Okay, I've not practiced it. So we're going to see how this goes. Now, the one thing that we don't get in the simulator is the feeling that you get from being disorientated. So it will be a little easier, I think, in the simulator. I have done dissimilar or unusual attitude training when I was doing my sports pilot license, and that's really weird. It really is. If the aircraft is rotating at a speed somewhat less than about 5 degrees a second, your inner ear doesn't seem to pick it up. And I felt with my eyes closed when I was practicing it that I was either rolling right or I was rolling left, and a lot of the time it was absolutely the opposite. Had no clue. And also whether we were nose up or nose down, the only thing that gives you a hint there is the sound of the engine or the air going past you. So now, just a disclaimer, I'm no CFI. But if you're just going to practice this in the sim, you might find this a really interesting challenge. You may not make it a couple of times too. Let's see how that works out. If you're going to do this for real, and you're doing this for real flight training, speak to your CFI and get some training with someone who's qualified to do that. But this is just, I thought, an interesting exercise. So let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. So we're pauses off. Now at the moment I have the autopilot on. So let's turn the autopilot off. We're going to forget we even have one. Okay. We're going to forget we even have our artificial horizon here. Okay. Now I'm going to bring the power back, and we're going to get ourselves slowed up. So we're coming back. We're nearly at 80 knots anyway, because I had to do a climb to get up here. So let's get stabilized and trimmed. Just check that my rudders are working, and they're not. So give me a moment while I just fix that. That's not a simulator problem. It's a system problem that I seem to continually get, where they just don't work. And that should be them now working again. There we go. Alright. It does have a tendency to want to roll a little bit. So, alright. So I'm going to go... My hands are now off the joystick. And all I'm going to do is operate the rudder and throttle. And see if we can keep ourselves... I'm putting quite a lot of right rudder. You can watch my feet down there and you can see what I'm doing. Okay, you can see I'm rolling back, but it's very slow. So you have to be very preemptive. Okay, I'm going to ease that off. And now I'm just going to back off the throttle a little. So I got about 400, 500 feet per minute there. I'm watching my heading bug, which I've already moved a little way to the left. Be conscious of your speed as well. You don't want to get too fast. And the other big thing that you really have to consider here is how much clearance you have underneath you. Okay, at the moment we're actually over the Adelaide Hills. So we should still have clearance. By the time we get down, we should still have clearance to the ground, but it may not be a lot. Because the Adelaide Hills, normally when we fly over those, we aim for about 3,500 feet coming east. East is least, so that's the odd numbers, 135 plus the 500. Okay, so we're trying to keep it straight. I've turned a little bit further than I wanted to now. So I'm going to come back onto my 220 heading, which should have us somewhat lined up with the runway. But the runway is still a fair way away. I started at the 10-mile point and then found that I need to turn around and climb. So we haven't descended into the cloud yet, so we still have something of a horizon. So what did we have to do? Okay, we haven't done what we needed to do. We needed to have this full reach first. Okay, and we need to watch our heading. Our headings is, we've done a bit of a right turn now. We're about 4 or 5 degrees right, so let's let that come back slowly. Our speed's good. Our altitude, our descent rate is a little bit on the high side, so I'm just adding a little power, and I'm letting that roll left a little bit until we get back onto the heading that I want. Even with the horizon, this is not as easy. Well, I didn't expect it to be easy, but it's certainly not what I expected. So let's get our wings level. We are slipping a little bit. You can see that the turn coordinator is not centered, but our wings are level, so I'm happy with that. Now we're in cloud. There is no view. Doesn't matter where we go, we have nothing to see. Okay, so you wouldn't be moving your head around in the real world because that'll help to disorientate you, and that's where pilots die. We've got too much rudder. Come back, keep your eyes on the instruments. Watch your descent rate. Descent rate's too high. Power up. I'm going to just reduce my amount of left rudder so that we turn back. You can see we are banked. Okay, we're back, so I'm feeding in more right rudder again to try and bring us level. Bring us level. Power up a little bit more for our descent rate. More right rudder. Got nearly full right rudder now. We still have a left turn happening, and we're climbing again, which we don't want. Okay, I've got full right rudder now, so we've got a bit of a slip happening. So we'd be ready to add power once we get down. Add power. Stop the descent rate. There we go. Be a little gentle. Be gentle on the power. Okay, too much right rudder now. Just got to find that balance. Just got to find that balance. Now I'm coming all the way back. I'm applying left rudder. Ooh, doesn't like that much. Okay, just a little. Steady. Okay, our descent rate's pretty high. Just balancing on that rudder. We've got a bit of a left aileron. We're a bit left wing down. We need to have right wing. So we need right rudder to bring us back. And I think we might be going to survive. It's getting light now, so let's hope we're not too close to any terrain. Here we go, here we go. Are we coming out? It's a bit hard to tell. The clouds are not being too helpful. And there's like screen wiping happening on my display. Okay, checking where we are. We're a long way left of track now, but we maintain speed. Our descent rate is still a little high at a couple of hundred RPM. More right rudder, but our wings are level, nearly level. Gives me an opportunity to bring it back, just reduce the amount of rudder. So we're turning back right again. Descent rate's good at 500. We're now at 2,500 feet. And I think the bases were about 2,200. So we should soon be back with some ground in view and hopefully safe. I challenge you guys to try this. Feel free to post it. Do your video, even if you die. There we are, guys. Full power, leveling up, and we haven't got much space between us, have we? We're still over the Adelaide Hills, and we probably got, what do you reckon? We might still have 1,000 feet, maybe. It wouldn't be much, it wouldn't be more. It would be 800 or 1,000. So there we go, guys, we survived. So let me know how you go in the comments section. Feel free to post again, get back out of the cloud. We're right there at the base. And the other thing we probably should have had is carb heat if we had it, but this aircraft doesn't have it. And that looks like my rudder pedals have gone again. So, great little exercise. I reckon I'm going to give that another go. But for now, thank you for sitting with me and having a ride. If you're new to the channel, we're going to be doing a few more of these videos, and there's lots more for you to see on the channel itself. So feel free to visit. Come to Let's Fly VFR Facebook page, and if you're a returning visitor, thanks for coming back, guys and girls. Really appreciate your support. Remember, like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you again here on Let's Fly VFR. Catch you again soon. Bye bye.